Welcome to Founding Without Funding podcast. This is episode 8. And today we're going to continue answering questions. I've got a lot of great feedback from people about the questions. You can drop any questions you have live. We're streaming on all platforms. I can see comments from all platforms here on the screen. And I still have some messages from my DM to get to. So we will go ahead and get into the questions. So Reed is asking, why does my brain tell me to wait until everything is perfect before launching? How do I shut up that voice? Read Founding Without Funding, right? Make sure you check out the course and the book. That's really what it's all about, is getting over that fear and being able to just get started, know that you're doing the right thing, and make sure that you're not spending too much time planning and you're spending a lot of time actually doing. So I would say read the book. That's not just a plug for my book and the course, but I would say read the book, take the course. That way you can, I think that will help you get over it. That's really one of the points of this, is helping people get over that planning stage and into the actual doing stage. All right. Question from Amir here. Do you think some founders fail because they try to copy someone else's business instead of leaning into their own strength? Um, Let's see here. Sorry about that. Do you think some founders fail because they try to copy someone else's business instead of leaning into their own strength? I wouldn't say so. I mean, a lot of this is just my opinion, right? So, um, obviously, I read a lot of books, watch a lot of motivational speakers, but again, it's always just your opinion. But I think that um, there's nothing wrong with copying someone else's business. We talked about this on the previous episode. Um, you know, there's nothing wrong with doing what other people are out there doing. Just make sure that you do it better. And so, I would always bring your own strengths to it as well, right? So definitely, bring your own twist to it. But just because it's a business that a lot of people do doesn't mean that you can't be successful in it, massively successful in it, if you approach it correctly. Okay, Nikki is asking, how do you stay motivated when literally nobody around you gets what you're trying to build? Just know that you get it, right? And know that if you get it out to the marketplace and the marketplace gets it and they're purchasing it or they're interested in it, that's all the validation you need. You don't need the validation from the people around you. And if you're waiting for the validation from the people around you, you're going to be waiting forever. You need to validate it yourself. And really, you need the market to validate what you're trying to build, or you need to change what you're trying to build until the market validates it for you. So I would say you and the market are what validates it. Don't worry about what anyone else around you says. Let's see here. Question from Joel. What's your opinion on people starting multiple businesses at once? Is that smart or dumb? Asking for a friend. Well, at the end of the day, again, this is just my opinion, but I don't see necessarily a problem with it. I've definitely done it. I've founded a lot of businesses and some at the same time. Just make sure that you're focused, on hyper focus. So, if you're doing two businesses at a time, you got to be working twice as hard on your businesses. So I definitely want to be starting multiple businesses if you have another job already, or have businesses already, and start a bunch at the same time. But at the end of the day, you can do two things at once, and sometimes you need to get things set up. So, something that I've done is, you know, set up the companies and get the social media up, and get a little bit of traction going without necessarily fully launching the business, but just making sure that it's all the paperwork is done for it, making sure that it's got everything set up, website, social media, logo, all that kind of stuff, and kind of start planting those seeds for SEO, start planting those seeds on social media, and not necessarily investing a bunch of money into it yet or running ads yet until I'm ready, because again, it does take time to get up and going, especially on social. So you want to at least start posting one thing a day, and now you have the business actually up and running. So when you start really going hard on it, you do have some followers, you have posts, you have traction. Okay, Chelsea's asking, is it better to keep my business quiet until it's ready to talk about while I'm building? I don't know which helps more, or talk about it while I'm building. Is it better to keep my business quiet until it's ready, or talk about it while I'm building? that's really up to you. But I would be confident in my business enough to talk about it. Now, if you're like a salesperson, if you're doing like a real estate brokerage or something and you're a realtor, then you need to be talking about it to everyone, or a loan officer. I was a realtor and a loan officer. I owned a real estate brokerage and a national mortgage lender. And at the end of the day, you with those type of businesses, you need to be telling everybody because it's a referral type business and a sales type business. But if you're building a business on the back end, it's not necessarily something you have to go announcing to everyone, but I would, and I do, because that's just how I am. I mean, I've always been about business. The first company I started when I was 15, and I was already working on other businesses as well. And so, that's just always kind of been my identity. That's what I do. That's what I love. That's what I talk about. And it's very passionate and it shows through in all of my conversations. But, it's not necessarily something you need to do. But if you're in like a sales type business, and even if you own the business, like the real estate brokerage that I own, the national mortgage lender that I started, these are the type of things where you want to get the word out to everybody because you need referrals that are word of mouth. Let's see here. JC asks, is the whole startup world basically just people pretending they're building something until investors believe them? Well, that depends on what kind of startup world you're in, I guess. If you're in like the Silicon Valley startup, then maybe a little bit more of that, especially with the AI boom, just like the .com boom. I mean, a lot of people are kind of just building companies for the valuation and building companies that we have no idea if they're going to actually make money. Most of them haven't made money yet, but they're, long shot plays or long term plays, either one. And so I think it depends on what you mean by a startup. If you're just a person that has a product or service to get out there and you're starting up your business and you're grinding, online with ads and social and, or like I said, word of mouth or referrals, then, I think you're building the business. And that's kind of what Founding Without Funding is about, right? You're not looking to get an investor at a big valuation. You are really building your business. And by building your business, what I mean by is making sales. That's what you're building. So I think as long as you're actually building a business and not just trying to build a pitch deck and pitch investors. So that's kind of the point of Founding Without Funding is don't worry about evaluation. Don't worry about pitch decks. Don't worry about investors. Worry about building an actual business. And that starts with making sales, and cash flow is king. So just stop planning, get out there and make sales. Okay, we got a question from Mila. Kyle, do you think founders choose hard business models just so they sound more impressive? I don't know. I wouldn't pass judgment on everybody else, but at the end of the day, I think most people just lack the confidence and the work ethic to get out there and do things. And the confidence, what also plays into that is fear. So a lot of people just have the fear of not of failing, and so they don't want to get out there and try. But it's something you got to do, and you're probably going to fail on your way to the top. Let's see here. Why do some people, this is from the chat, why do people brag about raising around like it's revenue? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of goes to what we were just talking about is at the end of the day, raising funds at high valuations doesn't necessarily matter unless you're making sales or going to make sales. And at the end of the day, I think the average person needs to focus on making sales. I don't think the average person is going to get an investment from a big investor. And I don't think the average person is going to get a large valuation investment from an investor like, some of these tech companies you see and stuff like that. It's just not very realistic. So Founding Without Funding is about getting off that fence, stop waiting, and start doing. And at the end of the day, the irony of it is that if you stop waiting for an investor, get out there and make sales, you're much more likely to get an investor once you have sales. All right. Tanya's asking, is it wrong to say most people don't actually want to build a business? They want the lifestyle. No, I mean, a lot of people do want the lifestyle, and that's usually while we're in business, especially like the industries like real estate and stuff. Those are all the hustlers, right? The realtors, the loan officers, they're all people that want to work for themselves and want to be able to make unlimited money, which is great. And it's a great industry to be in. But it's at the end of the day, it's a hustle and it's a job. And I think that the lifestyle is what a lot of people aspire to be able to work for themselves and make large commissions. but it's also a grind. I can tell you in the real estate industry, especially with realtors, and having, being a buyer's agent. Seller's agent is a little bit better, but a buyer's agent running around driving people to homes over and over, and then you might not even get a commission from it sometimes. So, you know, it really is, um, a great lifestyle if you can do it correctly, but you're going to have a hard lifestyle for a while to be able to make it happen. And especially in the real estate industry, I would say shout out to all the realtors and the loan officers, because the ones that are successful have had years where they've grinded it out. I can tell you that I don't think there's any successful realtor or loan officer or a person like that in business for themselves that hasn't had years of the hard times before they get to the good times. Okay, Kurt is asking, what's your opinion on founders selling courses before they've built anything real? Is that helping or hurting entrepreneurship? I mean, you just gotta, you soak up all the knowledge you can, right? And even on this, I talk about and I give advice to people, and this is just my opinion. It's my opinion from my experience. And also, again, I read a lot of books on this stuff, watch a lot of motivational speakers. So it's the knowledge that I have and the information and the way that I apply it, right? Founding without funding is about doing what I've done over and over to build these businesses, to found these businesses and build them, which is not waiting on investors. So it's all opinions at the end of the day. And just make sure that, you do your research on anything that you're watching, reading, listening to, because you want to make sure that you're getting good information. But there's plenty of information out there. It's all about if you're going to soak it up, if you're going to receive it, and if you're going to actually do it. Because you can listen to anything you want all day long, all the motivation, all the business strategy and advice. If you don't actually get out there and do it, then nothing's going to happen. And, that's what I talk about a lot. Get out there and do it. Stop waiting, stop planning, stop getting motivated, and start making sales at the end of the day. Um, that reminds me, I actually had somebody message me in my DMs. It's not a question, so I don't have it pulled up here, but somebody messaged me and they said, "Aren't you a little bit young to be giving business advice?" And I appreciate the you saying that I'm young, right? I'm 37, but I started when I was 15 is when I built my business, and that business does millions of dollars a year still. And so I think that I probably had a head start on most people. Most people might be 45, 50 that are giving more business advice, and I am 37. But there's some younger people out there giving it as well. But I think at the end of the day, I had a big head start on most people, because even though I'm 37, I've been starting businesses since I was 20, for 22 years, because I started when I was 15. So I started when I was 15, 22 years later, 37, I founded 10 businesses, and some of them do multi-millions of dollars per year. And that's why I try to help other people out. But the main thing is not necessarily what I built, but it's more so about the philosophy of starting those companies, even just starting them, and then building them is kind of a whole different thing. But my biggest thing is so many people have business ideas or great businesses that they can launch, and they don't do it because they think they're waiting for an investor or they're waiting for something else to happen. You don't need to use the tools, use what I have here on these podcasts and in the book, and use the tools at your disposal, use AI, and get your idea or product out to the marketplace. And, you can sell before you buy, like I talk about a lot. There's a million ways to get started. Just get started and don't wait on anybody else. All right, let's see here. Let's see. Serious question. This is from Faith H. Serious question: is the business world obsessed with scaling because people are scared to admit they just need to sell more? Well, I mean, I think scaling is selling more, right? What you need to do is you need to find what you can sell, and then you need to fine tune it to sell it the most efficient way that you can, and raise your profit margins as much as you can, and then at that point you scale it up. So I think it's one and the same. Scaling and sales are the same thing. It's just, first you have to make the sales, and then you optimize the sales and the sales process, and then you scale that. And, it can't be backwards, right? You can't try to quote unquote scale until you've actually not only made the sales to prove out the product or service in the sales, but you've also optimized it so that your actual process is better, your funnel, your sales flow, your ads, and then most importantly, trying to cut the costs on the back end, right? So that you're optimizing it, making it the most profitable. And then once you do that and get that down, then you scale. And nowadays there's such easy ways to scale with, again, meta ads and things like that that I talk about. So, you can, once you sell something, then you optimize it and then you scale it. So I think they're all one and the same thing there, Faith. I think at the end of the day, you make the sales first, though, and then you optimize them and turn the most profit you can out of one sale, and then you scale that up. And great thing about nowadays, with the tools we have, with meta ads, all that kind of good stuff, you can scale to infinity. So you should be focused on getting at least one product or service out to the marketplace. And if it purchases it, that's a miracle. And then you optimize that as people purchase it as you go. And then once you're ready and you say, hey, if I did 10 of these a day, 20, 100 of these a day, I'd be massively profitable. Then you can scale it. All right. Leo's asking, do you think follow your passion is one of the worst pieces of business advice ever? I got this question a few times before. I mean, follow what you're good at, follow what you're doing, but most importantly, follow what the marketplace is responding to. Follow what your customers are responding to, and follow what your customers are giving you as far as feedback goes. So, I wouldn't say to chase your passion. Maybe you want to start something with your passion, but at the end of the day, you should be going by what the customers are responding to and what they're buying, and then also what they're giving you feedback on. All right, let's see here. Question: why do people build fancy websites, funnels, automation, but still don't have an offer that people want? What's up with that? Well, the great thing is that nowadays you don't have to spend much money or, at all to make a website and a funnel and automations. My company, your digital business partner, we can set that up for you in a day. And you could set that up for yourself if you take, courses or read about it online, whatever. Ask GPT how to do it and it'll lay it out for you. So, there's multiple ways to get it done, but you can do this all in a day. And so that's what you can do to test your idea. So I think that's kind of um, it's kind of backwards, right? You do have the idea, and then you can make the website, the funnel, and automations, and then you see if you make sales, and if you do, then you continue. And like I talked about, you optimize your funnel, your flow, your staff, your profit margin, and then you can scale it up from there. Let's see here. Question from Nala, I believe is how you pronounce it. Nala. Here's a spicy question. Should everyone try entrepreneurship at least once, or is the internet lying about how easy it is? It's definitely not easy. I don't think there are too many entrepreneurs out there talking about how easy it is. I think maybe like the influencers and the new age type stuff talk about how easy some things are. But I think anybody who's built a business from the ground up knows that it's not easy. I don't think people are out there telling people that it's easy. It's easy to get started. That's one of the points of founding without funding, is that nowadays in today's, landscape, it's extremely easy and quick to get started. It's not easy to build and to scale, but it's extremely easy and quick to get started with your business. Put up, the web page, the sales funnel, the automation, some ads to test it, put up your product or service. So that's the beautiful part about founding without funding and about today's business and online landscape and using AI, is that you can easily try it. And for the entrepreneurs that make it, those are going to be the ones that don't stop. And the ones that don't make it are going to be the ones that try it once and stop. So I think entrepreneurship is for everyone who has an idea and has the want to do it. And the ones that are going to succeed are the ones that are not going to stop. They're going to put in the work in and not going to stop. And the ones that fail are the ones that are not willing to put in the work and keep going. And I think it's as simple as that. All right, that's all the questions I have here for today. Go ahead and send me DMs with more questions. I can answer some more questions next week. Make sure you check out the book, Founded Without Funding. It's on Amazon. It's also on the website, foundedwithoutfunding.com. And you can take the course at foundedwithoutfunding.com as well. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time.